Clay McKinney, Developer On-Ramp. This is the Introduction to HTML, no, it's not, Introduction to CSS for Developers class. And we're in the section on color, and we've talked about hue, how you can change the hue with hexadecimal, like you pick FF0000, and that's red because the red is all the way on and the green and the blue are all the way off. And we've talked about grays, making them all the same, the red, green, and blue perfectly balanced, and it makes grays. So now we need to talk about saturation. Saturation is how close to gray a color is, or how far away it is. So if a color is desaturated, it's almost gray. So for instance, here we have gray. If we made the red a little more pronounced, like we'll make it 4-4. Okay, so we made the red more pronounced. Okay, so it's red, but it's also, it's not very vivid, right? Let's see. Let's do it. If I took out this 2222 and just set those to 0, okay, it's about the same brightness, but now it's more rich. It has more color in it. We cancel out the color by adding gray, and we add gray by making them more alike. Like if I make these 3333. So saturation is sort of the delta, the difference between the color that's picking the hue and the other colors. All right? If there's a big difference, then you have a very vivid, very rich color. If there's a very small difference, you have a desaturated color. Now, if a color is bright, so let's make this a bright red, like FF. If it's a bright color, let's set these back to 0. Okay, so this is a bright, perfectly vivid, very rich red. Okay, now we can desaturate this by adding gray. The way we add gray is by adding the two other colors equally. So we'll add C's. All right, so adding those C's, I'll refresh. Okay, the brightness is the same. It's just as bright as it was a minute ago, but it's a lot less red because we canceled the red with a bunch of other color. It's like a pastel or something like that. All right, so let's do this with some of our other colors. Let's move these F's around. So now it's going to be a green color because green is the highest, right? So that's setting the hue, but we've added some gray in here to make the green less saturated. Let's try it. Oh, I forgot to save it first. Okay, so it's a desaturated bright green, whereas this is a fully saturated bright green. Fully saturated, it's very rich, it's very colorful, just very strong color. We weaken the color by adding these other colors. So we're desaturating it by adding gray. You have to kind of squint your eyes to see that that's green at all. I'll calm that down a little. So the green will stand out a little bit more. Okay. You see how that works? So that's saturation. The hue is picked by which number is highest of red, green, and blue. If two of them are the same and higher than the other one, well, yeah, let's do that. All right, so this has the same amount of red and green, so it'll be yellow, but it's desaturated. Okay, so it's a pastel yellow. If we take this opposite color out completely, we'll have a very rich, very vivid yellow. It's still very bright. Let's see. This we're going to make the yellow less bright, but it'll still be just as rich and vivid. Okay, so that's still as colorful, it's just darker. And to see the difference, we'll add this back in. Okay, that's going to desaturate it. It's going to make it the same darkness, the same hue, but it's going to be grayer. It's going to be more desaturated. It's going to be less saturated. See? So saturation is color, is vividness, it's richness. Desaturated is gray, right? So you add gray to desaturate. You remove gray to saturate it. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. All right, so we've talked about hue and saturation, and we've touched on brightness, but we'll talk about that in the next video.